It's 2025 by posting the notice with the respective clerks of the city of Lambertville, Borough of Stockton, and Township of West Ammo, and advertised in Star Ledger and Trenton Times newspaper. Will you all join me for the flag salute? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call, Jennifer Vasquez.
Here.
Don Bonani,
Here.
Martha Dennis,
Here.
Paul Signo. Here. Gina Fischetti,
Here.
Brian Pease. Aaron O'Leary,
Here.
Ronnie Todd Marino,
Here.
and Michael Trout.
Here. Okay, we have a resolution to pass in the most wonderful way before we begin. So each working period, we recognize our students who achieve high honor roll, and this is our chance to do that for the third marking period. And I do see several of you out there, so thank you for coming. I am not going to read the entire resolution because it's whereas a lot. You will receive a comment about it, but know that we recognize and commend your academic performance, and that's the most important part of this. So Mr. Suzo is going to go ahead and present this, and we'll pass the resolution in just a moment.
Yes, thank you. So, and I promise for next year, our timing was a little off for this year. We probably should have done third marking period last month. Some of you in the room may get an invite back in July's meeting for not only for two things, the fourth marking period, and then we are going to honor, and I actually looked at it today, it's a smaller list of the students who are actually on high honor roll for all four marking periods, which is pretty significant. So if we invite you and you're around, hopefully you'll be able to come attend. If not, we'll send your certificate out in the mail. So we do have some folks today, and I knew it was going to be a busy time of the year, and many folks have already, gone on vacation and things along those lines, but I will recognize all of our individuals. I'm going to do it by grade level, and if you're here, please come on up and get your award. We'll start out first with our ninth graders, and we have Danielle Brewer from ninth grade. We also have Isaac Dewar. Lucy Milheim. And then we have Ava Syrak. All right, we'll move on to 10th grade. First, we have Leticia Aguilera Raimundo. Leah Batchelor. Haley Brown. Amelia Carlucci. Julia Dorman. Brandon Garcia. Brooke Pachuli. Charlie Phillips. Nathan Pigeon. Adriana Soto. Oh, there's Nathan. Perfect timing. Come on up, Nate. We got you. Abigail Titus Grieve. And all in the family, Charlotte Titus Grieve. And then finally for 10th grade, Zuli Vicente Campos. All right, 11th grade. Finn Baker. Annabelle Billman. Tucker Hicks. Junabe Horsnall. Addison Kovalevsky. Will Merzinski. Sydney Powell. And then Aaron O'Rourke. And then our seniors who've just graduated. Annika Baylog. Val Bott, who was also our student representative. Ian Harbison. McKenna Healy. Grace Horvath. Alexandra Kachowski. Deegan Manfredi. Yeslin Racinos. And Lucy Spreen.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I get a motion to honor these scholars?
So moved.
Larry, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abs- Okay, congratulations. I would like to take a moment, Val's name was just mentioned, but to thank Val Bott, who was our student representative to the board this year. And I certainly appreciated all of his commentary and honesty as we got the report. Do we have anyone from the PTO here tonight?
Before, could I just say one
Oh,
thing
yeah.
about Val? Yeah. So I know Val couldn't be here this evening, but on behalf of the board, I did want to thank him, and I did get him a card and a gift card that I will deliver to him in the next couple of days. Just thanking him for his service on the board this year.
Is there anyone here from the PTO? Okay, Ellie. Is she peeking back there? Okay. Thank you. So we do not have correspondence for this month, and do have some small items to approve here, so we need a motion to approve our minutes for our regular and executive session for both our May 18th regular session and then our work session on June 10th. Can I get a motion? Okay, Ronnie, Brian, and any discussion on these before we go? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abs-
I'll abstain, I was not at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent update.
Yes. So I have a few things I'd like to report out on. So hopefully by now everyone's aware of New Jersey's internet enabled device law. I did send out a week ago Friday, some information about this. I know it probably got lost in the end of the year communication, but this will be a constant reminder throughout the summer. So just a little bit of history. So all New Jersey public school districts must adopt policies restricting the use of personal internet devices. So that includes smartphones, tablets, and smartwatches during the school day. Districts have had the flexibility of how they're going to implement that law. Our policy really was shaped by input from students, staff, parents. I had a parent focus group about this, as well as obviously the Board of Education. And really what it comes down to in a general theme for tonight is that we're trying to balance, right? There's a healthy balance between all the positives with technology, but then the negatives as well, as far as screen time, social media. And I think you'll continue to hear this moving forward as a theme for the district, is that we just really want to balance the screen time with human interaction. And we want to make sure that kids are talking to each other during the school day, interacting with each other, not only obviously in classes, but in hallways, in lunchtime, things along those lines. So with that, we will be collecting devices next year. So I brought a little demo just to show you all. So this is how we'll be collecting them next year. So what will happen is each grade level will have a cart, middle school through high school. On this cart right here, there are 60 different compartments. All right. We also have the ability, if we have a few more than 60 kids, and right now we have one class at the high school and one at the middle that will be in that situation, we can put a divider in the cart and obviously have two sides. So what will happen is you'll notice it's mobile on wheels. So we will have designated areas in each one of our buildings, right, the middle school and the high school, where when kids come in, they'll know where the 9th grade cart is, the 10th grade cart, the 11th grade cart, the 12th grade, same thing for 5, 6, 7, 8. There'll be different colors, right? Each card will have a student's name on it and a number, which, by the way, will have that number available in Encores for our students. You know, in the one area of Encores where they look to see where their bus information is and their pickup times and all that, we're gonna have another category for their cell phone storage. And what will happen is as they enter into the building, they'll simply go to the cart, find their slot, put their phone in. Obviously, if they have a smart watch, that's included. They can put that in as well. We took into account some of the bigger phones with the, I don't even know what they're called, with the things on the back, right? The little suction cup thing on the back, which can be very, what's it called? Top socket. All right, thank you, Riley. So we took that all into consideration. So obviously it can fit. And then they'll be in there. We will secure these in an area in the building. By the way, when kids come to check in their phones, there'll be an adult there kind of supervising as that process goes down. Then it will be wheeled away for the day. And then obviously right before the end of the day at dismissal time, we'll have the cart back out. Kids will kind of sweep by, take their phone or whatever else belongs to them, and then head out to the bus for dismissal time. And that's the way the process will work. We'll have these spread out throughout the building, so we don't have all 4 grade levels converging on one cart, right? And we'll work through the logistics. For our 9th graders that are coming in next year to just finish 8th grade, they saw this when they came and visited for 9th grade orientation. We brought it in the auditorium for our presentation, and they went through it. We just thought that this worked out the best as far as being able to fit everything we need to have to fit in it, and it's also mobile, which makes it very easy, and it's sturdy. So we're really excited about that process and what it will look like. So I just wanted to show it at the board meeting. From the elementary side of things, just going along. So what we'll have students do at the elementary, obviously we don't have as many kids with phones, as many kids with watches, but they'll just turn them into the main office like they have done now, all right? We'll have a process for that. And we don't anticipate as many kids as obviously the middle school to high school. And then obviously I just went through what it looks like. We will ask the kids at the middle school and the high school to power down the devices and leave them off so we don't, you know, all day long in the closet. But and then obviously they'll pick them up as part of the dismissal process. So we don't anticipate, you know, this being a big deal as far as logistics go. I think we have it pretty well down. And I'll continue to push the Q&A throughout the summer. I know it's long, but it really gives all the what if scenarios. I'm going to highlight a few here, but like, you know, we took into account our kids that go to Polytech, right? PM and AM, and how that all plays out because they're leaving the building, and we have a process for that. So I think we're in pretty good shape as we head into the school year. Again, I realize that there's a lot of, you know, information, and parents right now are just kind of digesting the end of the 25-26 school year and probably not thinking yet about 26-27. But we wanted to get it on their radar. Just a few things I wanted to point out, like 2 big things, 2 themes that we've talked about from the board level that bring parents to a level of concern by us collecting the phones are like, what about safety and security if something was to happen and I need to get in touch with my child? We're just day to day, like if my child needs me or I need my child, and they don't have their phone and they're not going to see their text messages till after school's over, and I need to somehow talk to them during the school day, I'm going to talk about those 2 scenarios right now. So if you look at it, and I've done a lot of research in this area, quite honestly, when we talk about safety and security, like if you look at best practice in the Department of Homeland Security, you don't want kids to have their phones in an emergency. Let's say, for example, there was a lockdown, right? And God forbid there was an active shooter or something along those lines. The worst thing that can happen is kids' phones are buzzing and going off because obviously you can hear that, right? Texting and calling or live streaming, you don't want kids, right? We want kids focused on the protocols that we practice for situations like this. We don't want them worrying about texting or trying to call someone or live streaming something, and then they're not paying attention to our processes and protocol. Obviously, 911 can get flooded pretty easily. So if every kid's going to call 911 on their cell phone in an emergency situation, that's probably not going to go real well. We talk about how threats can sometimes monitor social media and live streams to locate where kids are or evade law enforcement. And the worst thing that we want to have happen is panic where parents are just rushing to the school, because that's what's going to cause chaos, right? So if you look at Department of Homeland Security, they recommend during lockdown protocols, no phones, no noise generating devices. They should be silenced. You know, our staff members will be carrying cell phones. So in an emergency, obviously they have the ability to call 911. They have the ability to activate our emergency notification system from an app on their phone or from the the phone lines that we have in all of our classrooms or the main office. So I just kind of want to reassure folks on that one. And then the next one that I want to just talk about is, like, if you really need to get in touch with your child during the school day, or they need to get in touch with you, we're going to facilitate that process, right? Just like schools did before there were cell phones. So, right, a student can go use the phone in the main office if they need to call home at any time, right? Teachers and counselors can help work together and help facilitate that contact. If there's an injury or an illness, obviously the nurse is going to facilitate that contact. Or if a student needs to use the phone in the nurse's office to call a parent, and parents can call the main office, they can leave a message. If it's something that entails where they want to talk to their child, we can get them out of class if we need to, or have them come down at the end of the period to call back home if it's not an emergency related issue, or we can get a message to them, whatever it may be, depending upon what the parent needs. So that's really, really important. I want folks to understand, and we'll continue to reinforce that message that we're going to help bridge. We know this is new and it's going to be difficult for some of our kids. And we don't want this to be a barrier and something the kids are worrying about during the school day or parents. All right. So this is something we'll be working internally with our staff, especially our office staff, who is going to be on the front lines of this, to make sure we're as accommodating as possible, just so everyone has a level of comfort. At the elementary level, I know sometimes there's location and tracking, right? For kids, as soon as they get out of school and parents want to track where they are, there are options, and I've listed some out here. Rather than just a phone, whether it's a Bluetooth, an AirTag on their backpack or whatever it may be, there are different options that parents can look into. I gave some other options as well in the FAQ that we sent out about a week and a half ago. Keep in mind, we do have secure buildings. Our staff are present. They account for our kids each and every day when they're moving from class to class, when they're outside, when they're on the field, any of those different things, right? And if there's ever an emergency, everyone knows that Parent Square is our main source of communication, where we're going to send a phone message, a text message, and an email instantaneously, and parents are going to get that information as quickly as possible. So I just, again, wanted to reassure that as parents think about this moving forward for next school year. There are exceptions to the policy based on the law. So if there are circumstances, perhaps something with an IEP accommodation, perhaps something with a 504 plan accommodation, or a student health plan, right? We know that we have students with diabetes and they use their phones to help monitor blood sugar, things along those lines. Could be for translation services, depending upon the situation. The law also calls for, if a student is a caregiver, perhaps for a family member, and they're not doing well, and there's needs to be instant communication, there's an accommodation for that. What we tell families that if there is a need that arises, you need to reach out to your building principal. The building principal will then discuss it with me, and then depending upon what the situation is, if it's IEP related, then it's going to go to the case manager. If it's 504 related, it's going to go to the school counselor, and we'll kind of work through that process as we see fit, and then obviously communicate with our teachers so they're aware, and everything's in line. Just a couple other things, going back to what I said before about trying to balance human interaction with screen time. So just so globally folks know, we sent this out for the grade levels that were impacted, but our current 5th and 6th graders who just finished up last Wednesday did not take home their Chromebooks for the year, right, for the summer. We decided to keep them for the summer just to give them a break away from the screen time. next year for our rising fifth and sixth graders, right? So our fourth and fifth graders this past year, they will not take their Chromebooks home each and every night. We made a decision. We've talked with our teachers in fifth and sixth grade based on the homework and the different things that kids will be required to do. They don't need to utilize a Chromebook for it. So we will keep them in classes in carts. Obviously, if they're needed during class, they'll be utilized, but at night they'll stay in the carts. And then obviously the kids will pick them up the next morning if they need them for class. Seventh and eighth grade, we're going to continue to let them take them home, but starting in September, we are going to shut them down at 9:30 every night. All right, just we're able to do that and then have them reconnect at, whether it's 6:30 in the morning or whatever we decided to be before school. So, and I've gotten a lot of feedback on this one, some positive, some, when kids got sports and things, and sometimes they don't. So we'll kind of play it out, right? We want to try it, see how it goes. If we're getting issues or parents are bringing up certain issues, we can adjust accordingly. But I think it's really, really important for our kids to get sleep. And I don't really want kids on our devices at 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30 at night, which we can see, by the way, right? Because a lot of times when students submit, let's say, a Google Doc for as part of an assignment, the teachers have the ability to look at the revision history and they can see a student's working on it at 1:30 in the morning, which is never a good thing, right? That's not what we want even for our high school kids. We don't want that. So these are just things that we're going to put in place as we continue to balance the positives with technology and the negatives with technology for next year. And we'll continue to evaluate as a board and, adjust accordingly. Any questions on that from the board before I move on to a different topic? All right, so I did want to share an update about the sale of the West Amwell School. So just a couple of things. The original purchase agreement was signed on February 25th, 2026. Over the last 3 months, the buyer has been doing and performing due diligence on the property, meaning having a lot of inspections and different things that were taking place. During the due diligence inspections, several issues were identified with the property. It resulted in the buyer coming back and asking for a credit on the purchase price. So after much deliberation and quite honestly negotiation, the board made a decision based on the amendment that was provided by the buyer to agree to drop the purchase price $150,000 to $950,000. The original purchase price was $1.1 million. I will tell you that the buyer asked for a lot more than that, and the board did not agree to that, but did come somewhere, in the middle as a compromise. The good news is, by board approving this agreement tonight, which is on our finance agenda, and then signing off on it, the due diligence period is now over, which means that if the buyer was to pull out before July 17th, they would lose $75,000 in a deposit. All right. The other good news is we have a locked-in closing date for July 17th. So we're feeling really good about where we are right now. Just to kind of where we landed so everyone understands. So the sale price wound up being $950,000. Don't forget, we kept $145,000, almost $146,000 from the auction because we had a buyer who unfortunately defaulted and couldn't follow through on their end. And we were able to keep $145,000 of their deposit. So that means the total proceed is just a little under $1.1 million. When you take out broker fees and closing costs, our net proceeds will still exceed $1 million. All right. And we've earmarked, and speaking on behalf of the board, we've said this multiple times. We're committed, the board is committed to paying down referendum debt from the 2021 referendum. That continues to be the case. And after the closing on July 17th, we'll share more specifics on how that debt pay down is actually going to occur. All right. So I just wanted everyone to kind of be in the know as far as where we landed, where we are. I feel like, fingers crossed, we're in the home stretch. We're getting real close. And, I think we landed overall in a good place. Any questions or comments from the board about that before my last comment? All right. And then the last one, it's not too late. The end of the year survey, as we call it, tell us how we're doing. We've extended the deadline to June 30th. So I've had I'll just be honest. We've had a phenomenal response from students. We've had a phenomenal response from staff. I'd love to get some more parents. This is the breakdown right now. So we have 144 total in the district, 53 parents from the elementary, 51 for the middle, and 40 for the high school. That's up as of today. So if you can continue to spread the word, I'm going to keep sending out reminders. I've been emailing through Parent Square buildings, not global district, telling each building parents, this is where your number is this week. We're looking to try to get it up, right? Because each is different. So again, about, little week and a half left. We'd love to get your feedback. We do read it. We spend a lot of time on it during the summer. It helps drive how we focus on different things. So, it's there. It's in my emails. It's on our website. Please take, 10 or 15 minutes because your input is extremely valuable.
I do want to reinforce that. That is something that the board actually spends a lot of time reviewing as well. It goes through our school and community committee, but we all do take a look at not only the rankings, but also the comments that happen within that. So it's important for us to know where everything stands as well. Before we move on to public comment, I did want to take a moment to acknowledge something that also happened this past month, which was our graduation.
Sorry.
So our class of 2026 did graduate, and a huge congratulations to all of the students, all of the parents who supported them, and to all of the staff who we have South Hunterdon Regional School District staff who worked with some of these kids for 13 plus years. So they brought them to where they were, and I was really happy to just see that happening. It was a really great day, a beautiful day. And also kudos to Suzanne Zambella, who was our graduation coordinator. She runs a very tight ship. I very rarely will count on anyone, trust someone to have something in a binder for me, and Suzanne definitely did. So congratulations all around. With that said, it is now time for our first session of public comment. As always, we welcome you up to the podium. Please state your municipality, your name. You are limited to 3 minutes. And with that said, our first session is over. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Justin Hollahan, West Amwell Township. Okay, so here we go. 3 minutes. All right. I'm going to read some notes here because I got some things. All right. So hello, board members, neighbors, and volunteers. First and foremost, I just want to take this moment here to just say what an honor and a privilege it's been to teach the families of my neighborhood and the kids. There's never been more joy in my life for the past quarter century. I just want you to know this year did not end up the way I thought it was, but going forward, I just need to clear the air for me. You are my neighbors. I love you forever. There is no animosity. Okay. Like whatever happens going forward, you're my village. And I just want to let you know that. Okay. So I love you guys. There's enough anger and animosity in the world anyway, so I'm not going to add to it. So if I do see you stranded on the side of the road, I will definitely come rescue you. So me aside. All right. So what I really came here to talk about is this concern of mine about this mental health of our students. I do want to talk a little bit about AI, and then I'm just going to offer an invitation. So 25 years I've been teaching. I taught through September 11th, district regionalization, a number of administrators and ideas, the tech boom, COVID. But what really threw me off my horse was middle school. I was not ready. I was not ready for the Mr. H, I'm cutting myself. And Mr. H, I didn't get the homework done because I was at the mental hospital this weekend. That, after 20 years in elementary, that was new to me. And that really threw me. I don't know if I could have been prepared. Things are changing so fast for all of us. I don't know if there really is a hard set answer right now. But this was unlike any other problem because if someone did do hate speech, you could be like, oh, they're a bad person. You could blame them. Or if someone said something terrible or vandalized, oh, you can blame somebody else. But when kids we love are like, I'm not happy, all I can do is look at myself. And I'm like, what did I miss? What did we adults miss in their lives? It's a very hard burden to take. So that was very shocking to me. So I just want to use a quick metaphor. This is what I'm just playing in 40 seconds. I'm going to think of our kids as mountains. And every day we're just drilling into them. We're taking all their precious, their attention span, their time, their energy, all their best. We're taking it from them every day. And then we move on to the next mine. And we're not backfilling those mines in. And that mountain is like collapsing under the weight. All right. What I used to do in class, I would shut off the lights. I would give them some time and I would just tell them good advice. Liberty and justice for all. You belong in a village. You have a place. You are good enough. And it was just simple things like that. So I'm going to beg this board, please, with the next year, please, as a district goal, mental health. It doesn't have to be number one, but it has to be a priority. Okay.
That's the craziest.
Sorry.
It's a trick.
Thank you, Mr. Holliday.
Hello, I'm Lauren Braun-Stromfels from Lambertville. I just wanted to come with some additional thoughts. I've been speaking at the last few meetings about issues around technology. I appreciate seeing the new policies, implementation, reflection as we move forward into a new school year. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the ways in which I would hope maybe as a district, we can think about increasing literacy in some different areas. As a parent and an educator at the college level, I am concerned about the absence of textbooks in a number of classes at the middle school level in particular. I won't speak to the high schools. I don't have direct knowledge of that right now. I know that that's been a movement and that there may be some reasons that that was implemented in the past. I would encourage the board and particularly curriculum committee just to reassess some of those decisions moving forward, especially because of the ways in which a well-chosen, well-made, well-edited textbook can really be an anchor for students who might not otherwise have a lot of literacy maybe in a household or may not have a lot of experience with the subject area or might be interested on the other end. I just think that that's a really important aspect and something I'm seeing at the college level, that students just don't know how to work with these kinds of materials and how to work through the sorts of language and the sorts of arguments that are present, right? And again, in a well-edited book, and that's an important part maybe of to think about our educational philosophy, the roles of all of the things that we bring into the classroom potentially. And then I wanted to also just continue to encourage the board and the district leadership to really think about the ways in which we're cultivating creativity. That I think is, again, kind of the larger issue, speaking to student mental health in particular, you know, that feeling of like, what do I do matter? What I do matters. What I have to say matters. What I'm figuring out what I think, not that I already know it because somebody told me, you know, but that I'm navigating, right? Meaning in the world, making meaning and engaging in things where I can kind of be messy. I know that's something that, you know, is hard for, especially for our middle school age students, right? To grapple with, but that might be a space that I would hope, again, that the philosophy moving forward as we're really taking an honest look at technology could rise more to the fore, and that there's some really great materials out there, and especially in my area, you know, in history and social studies, for instance, like primary sources collated and collected by Library of Congress, by the National Archives, that give, particularly in history, social studies, students ways to really think critically about their place in the world and the place of the past in the world.
Thank you. We have to get a new whistle.
I think it should go.
I have that too.
Don't do that. Can I,
That would put me into one of my exercise classes. Is there anyone else who?
before we continue to the next person, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that appropriate? I mean,
Michael's the one that made the decision, so I was just
okay.
reminding him that's it as president.
I just have a question for the person who just spoke. I have a question for her.
Oh, so No, that's an address, so we can discuss offline absolutely afterwards.
Okay, afterwards I
but-
can have a conversation. Okay.
Yeah. Any other comments? Is there anything online? Okay, so let's close the first period of public comment. This is a special meeting in that we have to do our annual organization. So there are a million letters in the next thing, so, we do have to take basically what is on the books and then make it whole again for this coming school year. So we will be approving, everything from bus driver certifications straight through to our curriculum, so that as we move into the next school year, we do have that in place. With that said, can I get a motion to accept items A through double B?
So
Jen? Okay. Is there any discussion around this? There are a lot of things in here, so, I know that we did have a long discussion on this in finance, but hopefully anyone who has questions, will help it. Otherwise, we're good to vote.
Jennifer Bachelor,
Yes.
John Bonami,
Yes.
Martha Bennett,
Yes.
Paul Paulino, Nina Machete,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
yes,
Ronnie Marino.
Yes.
And Michael Fleck.
Yes. Okay, curriculum and technology, I know we did not meet this month, but we do have some items to put forward.
We have one item that we need to vote on, this month. And
Sorry, dual enrollment.
It's actually,
dual enrollment agreement, sorry, thank you, here we are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dual enrollment agreements, that we need to vote on and approve for the upcoming school year.
And again, they are existing, from last year, so, we're repeating. It. So.
With that, I'd like to move, item A.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion on this? Okay, let's vote.
Jennifer Bachelor,
Yes.
John Bonami,
Yes.
Martha Bennett,
Yes.
Paul Paulino,
Yes.
Nina Machete,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
yes.
Ronnie Marino.
Yes.
And Michael Fleck.
Yeah. I should also note that, even though curriculum and technology did not meet, we had a very, very, spirited discussion on AI in a working session to replace that meeting. So, that there was, the subject was covered. So personnel, I know. Mr. Keith is out,
I'll
so.
do it. Yep. So Personnel Committee, just two things I want to make note. First, we have officially the resignation of Dr. James Naismith on the agenda for the board to accept this evening. So James has been our Director of People Services for the last 4 years, has done a great job for us. He got the opportunity to become the Assistant Superintendent of Special Education in the Pennsauken School District. So obviously he took that opportunity. So he's done with us at the end of this month. His last day is on June 30th. But I am excited to announce that we have his replacement and she is here tonight. So I'd like to just introduce and acknowledge Alexa Thomas, who's sitting there next to Jane Ellen. And then what I want to do is just read a little bit about Alexa. So we did have a very rigorous search process with multiple layers and multiple people, including staff in the district that were involved in this comprehensive search. Right now, Alexa currently serves as the Director of Outreach at the Cornerstone Day School and works for Magnolia Consulting, supporting school districts in the area of special education. We're also fortunate that we've worked with Alexa over the last couple of years with our special education department, and she's come in and done work with our administrative team as well as with our special education teachers. Prior to her current roles, Alexa served as the Director of People Services in the Clinton Township School District. She brings valuable leadership experience and expertise to the position. Over 25 years of experience. I think one of the biggest things that I'm excited about with Alexa is her ability to train our staff to not only serve as the director, but also to do professional development and train our staff, which I think is going to be excellent. She will start officially for us on Thursday, August 6th. And then in the interim, I am the Director of People Services from July 1st until August 5th. So we're excited. We wish Dr. Naismith well, and we welcome Alexa to the district.
So we need a motion for items A and B. Welcome, and again, Dr. Neesman, good luck. Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay, let's vote.
John Bonami,
Abstain.
Martha Bennett,
Yes.
Paul Paulino.
Yes.
Tina Bichetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys.
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
Yes.
Jennifer Bachelor,
Yes.
Ronnie Pellegrino.
Yes.
And Michael Phelps.
Yes. And I know Ms. Dennis is traveling,
So
so.
I'm gonna do policy, yep. So the policy committee met on June 3rd, 2026. We started out our meeting just talking a little bit about the cell phone law update. So obviously since then, I've sent out the FAQ and a lot of information about that. We will eventually bring the internet device policy to the board. Unfortunately, we still haven't gotten it yet from SHRSD. So I did reach out to them today and said, hey, July and August, we need 2 reads. So it would be great if we could have this. But I know that they were supposedly waiting on more information from the state. And I just don't think that's coming, quite honestly. So I think we need to move forward. Then we looked at policy 1230, which is the superintendent's duties. It's a mandated policy. The committee reviewed this. These are all first reads, by the way. The discussion focused on the relationship between the policy and any board-approved superintendent job description. SHRSD noted that districts with locally adopted job descriptions may rely on those documents rather than the model language. The policy committee agreed that the district will rely on the model language as it does not have a locally adopted job description. Then we looked at policy 2411, career education and academic counseling. The committee reviewed the revisions of policy 2411, and then there's a recommendation to abolish regulation 2411, which will be on our next month's agenda as part of the second read. The revisions reflect updates to the New Jersey Administrative Code requirements related to career education and academic counseling. The policy incorporates requirements related to career exploration, information literacy, counseling services, and where applicable, work-based learning and course opportunities, which is really important right now with our Pathways program. So obviously we spent some time on that. The committee noted that the state's transition away from the term guidance counseling and more academic or counseling. It's in the policy. And then we talked a little bit about how the fact of next year, because we're going to have this 9th grade elective now that all of our 9th graders are going to take, that will be based on our pathways and career exploration, that it's not just our counselors who will be handling this, also our new coordinator, James Panis, will be handling it. So that's going to be represented in the policy as well. Then 2 bylaws. So one was bylaw 0162, which is notice of board meetings. The committee reviewed proposed revisions by bylaw 0162, which reflect recent statutory changes governing legal notices. So this is in line with, and really next by the bylaw 0162.01 are all about the fact that we no longer have to advertise our meetings in newspapers, and now that we can do it on our website, and that suffices based on changes in the law. So these are all first read. So again, if there's any comments or any suggestions, please reach out to Martha before the second read will be at our July meeting.
We do have to pass them as first read, though, yeah, that. I am Rob, I think. So any discussion on? Okay. Folks.
Paul Paulino,
Yes.
Tina Bichetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
Yes.
Jennifer Bachelor,
Yes.
John Ronani,
Yes.
Martha Dennis,
Yes.
Ronnie Calverino. Yeah. And Michael Phillips.
Yes. Okay, buildings, grounds, transportation, finance, and safety did meet this month, and Ms. Bachelor is here to offer a report, so.
We met on June 18th. So highlights of the topics we discussed, the West End sale. We discussed the credit company, as a result of negotiating with the buyer. Proceeds of the sale discussion will plan to happen again in January, once we see any new board members. So we can discuss the options. And again, just to reiterate that we are committed to paying down debt, and doing it in a manner that maximizes savings for taxpayers. So we moved our discussion of that a little out, due to the July closing date. And we also just talked a little bit about like the accounting, that's gonna go on with the, money that we're receiving from the sale, being reflected in the budget for the next year, since our fiscal year has closed. And that will essentially be allocating that money as like a surplus for now. But then we will use it to pay down the debt. And then we talked a little bit about some emergency HVAC service that we needed at the elementary school. So 2 of our units went down that affected the music room and the library. So you'll see on our agenda tonight that we're going to utilize a maintenance reserve to cover the cost of labor. We are now out of warranty for our new HVAC units. So you'll also see on the agenda tonight that we're entering into a preventative plan. So this will help give us coverage on our units going forward now that we are out of that warranty period. And just to note that we have brand new stuff, HVAC, but the way things are now, everything is based on computer systems. So it makes it a little more challenging to manage those types of systems, and the company that we're working with has the expertise to assist us there. We talked a little bit about our long-range facility plan that is coming due. So this is a plan that we're required to have on the books. We're engaged with our architect to help develop the plan. And essentially it boils down to formulating a list of possible capital projects that we would be able, as long as we formulate this plan and acknowledge these are things we think we want to do, we would be able to then use our capital budget in the ensuing years to work on those projects. And we expect to have a more finalized list by the end of summer. We will see on the agenda that we have our final payouts for the turf field. Just one thing to note was that we had some unevenness identified early on when we were still working on the field, which they needed some fixing. And the company did come back with a charge for that. So Tony is going to work with the company regarding the price for that. It's just based on labor cost. So we don't have anything on the agenda for that this evening, but we will see something come up, change, I guess that we reflected change order in the future. But right now we do have our final payouts for that. We reviewed that long list of organizational items individually. Peter gave us a nice summary of each of those items that we've already approved. And then we have a bunch of contracts up on the agenda tonight. One of the things you'll see is we are switching from Arbiter to Vantage Sports for both facilities management and our sports platform. So what we see tonight is for the contract for facilities management piece. There's a lot of contract renewals, things that we're keeping. You'll see Confires is on there. So there's a couple of contracts there, all relating to inspection and monitoring service that we're now going under one provider. We have our Character Strong contract on the agenda tonight, and that is our SEL programming that we went through a whole process to pick one out. This is now the contract for that, and just of note, that cost will mostly be funded under Title 4 and Title 1. MIH Systems on the contracts here is the previously mentioned plan for HVAC. And going with this service,
will also provide us discounts on any parts should we need any for the systems. So it's another benefit. We also have grants on the agenda for tonight. Kiwanis came back with additional grant money for Project Lead the Way, which is supporting hands-on learning, and also bringing in a new archery program for the middle school. So we were able to, Kiwanis generously gave us grant money for that, and we thank them. You'll also see additional grant money for high impact tutoring. This can be used for the summer, and then previous funds that we were allotted can actually be used in the fall. So we'll be able to continue tutoring into the fall. We have the payment for the emergency services, HVAC work. This is just again to pay for labor. And the payments for the truck project are on there, and the sale agreement is also included in our items that I'm gonna move. The sale agreement reflects the negotiated credit. And then to wrap up, we had a quick conversation about the radios that we now have for our buses. They were used, they're working. We're going back and looking at maybe some wiggle room on the price for that contract. So we're waiting on a revised quote from them, and we were provided a third administrative radio for the elementary school. So the radios help make sure that our bus drivers don't have to be on their phones and they can contact back with the school. Very helpful, especially for the elementary school if they have kids that get dropped off. And then we had a quick discussion on cafeteria. We have a cafeteria audit coming up that looks at the funds in our cafeteria account and what we're allowed to keep in that account. And usually as a result of that audit, we'll have to allocate some funds around from that account. And so Peter is working with our auditor to discuss the allocation options. And then finally, we had a quick talk about school lunches, particularly at the elementary and at the middle school level. And just something over the summer, we might want to do is take a look at the food offerings, extra snacks and things like that. And maybe bring the discussion to school and community to see where we could maybe do some swap outs for some healthier options. And also making sure the kids and parents are aware of how to restrict items, put limits on spending, things like that throughout the budget. That was our meeting.
Just the point of order, did that radio contract actually make the agenda?
So, yeah, it was initially approved last month. And then, we actually did get one right after our meeting, so they came down on the price over $1,000, so it's 7170 now, the revised.
So it is in here for approval.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
it's on the, yep, it's under contract.
Okay, and then so I'll make a motion to move A through N.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Let's vote.
Ron Key,
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
Yes.
Jennifer Bachelor,
Yes.
John Ronani,
Yes.
Martha Dennis,
yes,
Paul Signo,
Yeah.
Stephen Massetti,
Yes.
Ronnie Camerino,
Yes.
and Michael Phelps.
Yes. Will and community.
So school community met on the 18th. The first thing we looked at was the annual survey. And noted that we had 443 responses at that time. 133 were parents, 211 were students, and 99 staff. And that response rate is consistent with what we've seen in years past, but obviously we'll go as much as we can. And so the surveys will remain open until we come to them. We reviewed the community classroom press release, so because we had a great program with that, there was a lot of information about different individuals who participated in it, and that was to go out today. With photos included of the article. We talked a lot about all of the upcoming changes, particularly around in technology. And how we have FAQs and we have guidelines to explain how things are changing with phones, how things are changing with AI. But because there's so much information and there's been a lot of concern about how we approach educational technology, this was something that we really wanted to make sure that we were getting out information that was specific to concerns that have been raised and taken as like bite-sized blurbs to get it out there to help, like, just all throughout the summer. We know that this is coming. And it's about educating the public about what we're doing to achieve balance through the changes. That, again, that includes the changes to Chromebooks and AI, and upcoming changes to curriculum. We also talked about the elementary school parking lot. So as Jen mentioned, we're entering the long-range facility plan, and we recognize that we have had, as a part of the referendum, we put aside money for that construction of that parking lot. And that parking lot hasn't happened because there's been issues with the DRCC and the park there and construction that was done. Anyway, there isn't a solution currently, and there's no specific timeline, so we're going back to the city of Landerville just to figure out what we can do to move the timeline forward on that. And then lastly, we talked about the board norms, which we have on the agenda tonight for approval. Something that everyone has had eyes on. We've got received feedback from everyone on the board, and so in order to enact that, we will be voting on it. So I will move the board norms.
The second on that.
Okay.
Any discussion on this? I just want to clarify, that parking lot is not controlled by the school board, it's not school property, so it's controlled by the city of Lambertville, which is why we had to involve them in that discussion.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to school and community, because the community doesn't always understand, and they look to the district to say, what are we doing to fix it? And it's a partnership, so we will be working with Landerville, who owns that property, to figure out when we can get it done.
Shall we vote?
Jennifer Backwood,
Yes.
John Bonani,
Yes.
Martha Denon,
Yes.
Paul Falzino.
Yes.
Tina Bissetti,
Yes.
Brian Keys,
Yes.
Aaron O'Leary,
Yes.
Ronnie Calvarino.
Yeah.
And Michael Tuck.
Yes. Okay, we do have some routine information items to accept here. The last month we received 2 HIV investigations, and we are voting on those right now. And then, we also have a report of fire drills and enrollment. So, I get a motion to accept A through C. Funny. Second.
Second.
Okay. On top of, all in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. That brings us to our second public comment. So, again, same rules as before. You can approach the podium, discuss, and limited to 3 minutes. Anyone else? It's on a third topic. It can, yes, okay. Okay.
Hello, Justin Holohan again, West Amwell. So now I just want to talk about AI for a second here. All right, so I'm very happy you guys had many discussions on it. You guys are on the ball. You're rolling down that road. But I just want to kind of throw in my 2 cents here. Kind of what I learned in my doctorate level classes and things. All right, so first thing I want to bring up is the Industrial Revolution. Let's go back in history a little bit. That was like what I noticed about that is that was when like bells and periods, and that's kind of like what was made for schools, and that's kind of where we are still in. We're still in that industrial revolutionary, bell rings, kids move to another class. So I just want to bring up that point of history. We are in the informational age now, and we are leaving it. Because of AI, we are moving into a whole new age called the conceptual age. Basically, anything we think up is going to happen. All right, it's very daunting. It's kind of scary, but it's kind of exciting. Historically, if you look at this, it is really no different than the splitting of the atom. We had this amazing technology. It could either free energy for all, or we could weaponize it. All right, that's what happened with the atomic. But here, at least with AI, at least we're having conversations about it. I mean, we're talking about it. I feel like we've learned from our mistakes, and we're kind of learning from our past, and we're hopefully going in the right direction. So with this conceptual age, everything is going to change. All right, I know that sounds like, oh, it's history just repeating itself in a way, but things are going to change. That's just how history works. Everything changes. So I just want us to be ready to pivot when that comes, and meet these kids where they are emotionally, and fulfill them for being here in school. Which brings me to my final and last thought here. I would love it if possible, if I could toss some wild and crazy ideas at you guys. I don't know if it has to be an executive session or just maybe just curriculum department. I would do it here in public with total transparency, but some of these ideas could be stolen or possibly marketable. I would not want to share it with everybody, but I have no problem sharing it with you guys. I don't know which ideas I actually have are feasible or what, but just throw it out there and just see what might happen. Okay. We just can't, I don't know if what we're doing right now is sustainable. How we're doing things and what's coming. So that's my last idea. If you would have me, I don't know, but just to talk to you guys, just throw some random ideas at you. I have some unique perspectives on things, and just, take it or leave it. But just, maybe just hear me out. It'd be awesome. Okay. Thank you, loves.
Yeah.
Oh, because my 18 seconds. Oh, because as long as these kids succeed, that's everyone's success. If this district succeeds and these kids succeed, that is really all of our success. So that's why it's so.
Anything online? Okay. Let's close out this period of public session. So we do have the need to go into executive session. I anticipate we will not take any action afterwards. I anticipate probably 30 to 45 minutes. And we can have an agenda for this, and then we will come back and close the meeting. So about 5 minutes, and we will meet for that.
Yeah, we need to.
Oh. Okay. Can I get a motion to go into executive session? Okay, Ronnie and Gina, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.